It's the end of another week, so it's the beginning of another version, issue, episode of This Week in the Shop. John's 68 Camaro made it down into the shop for the new radio installed. And we got the new Jensen head unit installed along with the East Bay Muscle Cars center dash install unit, all billet like I had shown. It angles the head unit nicely for you, puts the Dakota digital HVAC control in a nice spot, and now he has a couple spots for some USB cables. So much better unit for his car. It's a lot more ergonomic to be driving, because before it had a flip out style head unit and it was always kind of pointing at the shifter, so it's a lot easier to drive now. So this thing's coming down to the end of the line, to the finish line. It's a little grumpy right now when on the cold starts, so Jeff's going to be working on getting the cold start dialed, and then we'll put a few more 100 miles on it, try to put a couple 100 more miles on it, and then ship it southbound. As you can see, it's hoodie weather. It's finally fall here in New Jersey, so we've been blessed with some really nice hot weather, but it just turned this week. The phone booths are getting delivered in next week. We will get the phone booths in place at the grocery store. We are still building out the tops, which I'll show you when we get into the bodywork room, but Tyler at Reversion Raceworks has done a great job facilitating the engineering on the tops. We should have the rest of the parts next week so that we can get everything assembled, final assembled, painted, put together, and these things can get to work in the shop right in West Caldwell, New Jersey. Here's the tops. These are for the tops of the phone booths, kind of ornamental, Chinese rooftop design. These are all 3D printed. Tyler did all the printing on them. So when we got them, they needed a little bit of body work. 3D printed parts are always, they're nice, but they're never ready to paint. So we had to do a little bit of filler work, a little bit of sanding, blocking, and we threw some primer on them. So we're getting these things ready for paint. Our goal is to have everything painted mid next week and assembled shortly after, so that we can check this project off the list. I got Bill's cowl panel. We had to re-gap it. It was a little too tight. These cars grow when you paint them. You mock up everything fits good, and then you put it together, and it was just a little too tight. So we actually re-gapped this, repainted it. No charge to the customer because he already paid us to gap the cars. So we went ahead and just took care of the cost of repainting it. And now this area will get painted body color with flat clear over it. So we're just getting ready to do that next week. This will get done along with the underside of the hood, the front edge of the upper valance in the front. So that's ready for that. In here we have James' little notchback, little green notchback. We got done tuning it this week. It made like 360. We will update our YouTube channel with dyno time. We had this thing up on the dyno, so you'll see that. It made about like I said, about 360 foot-pounds and a lot of torque. I mean, it's a 347, so it makes a ton of torque. So got that done. Oh, the reason it's in the booth, there was a dent on the trunk lid. There's 2 dents on the trunk lid, so we went ahead and fixed those. James wanted to clean up the trunk lid, so it's painted. Next week we will cut and buff it, and this thing will be ready to head out the door. He also didn't want to, at the moment, he didn't want to blend the quarters. We're within a blend area. We got a pretty good match. Yes, it should be blended. However, budgetary reasons, he said he'd rather have a slightly different paint match than a big dent and a chip in the middle of the trunk lid. So we took care of that for him. Over in the metalwork area, Chad has been rocking it on getting the bed, the inside of the bed, wrapped up. You can see here he's got the trapezoid all done, bent up, bead rolled, and now he's just going ahead and prepping up all the surfaces so that we can start plug welding them into place. We got the wheel tubs all drilled and ready for us to put some weld through primer on it. This tub still needs to be drilled, so he'll get that prepped. So he'll be able to start welding in the tubs and the trapezoid in for good. And then we can start doing the outer wheel tubs and then start getting into the really fun stuff, which is changing the exterior. We also got we've had the rear wheels for a little while. We got the front wheels a little while ago from Forge Line, but there's a couple things that we wanted to change on them. They were a little narrower, and we had the opportunity to go about an inch wider in the front. So these are 21 by 10.5s with a 295 on the front. We definitely pushed the limits on the tire size, but it's going to look so killer, especially this being a muscle car inspired, supercar inspired build. We wanted a nice wide tire all the way around. So it's got 295s on the front, 325s on the back. It's a 22 in the back. So we're looking forward to keep going on this. Paul's 77 Lincoln, which we've been working on for years and years, is it's a little dirty at the moment, but we're working out a bug that's in the transmission. It's got a weird acting transmission, so we're waiting on our transmission guy to actually come up here and square away that. CJ's Nova is on pause for now. We got the roof skin finally installed. The drip rail's gone, and we left a little bit of a body line in here, but it's ready to go. The next steps will be to mock up the drivetrain, get the drivetrain in it, get all that stuff in it, because these cars move with the drivetrain. So our next step will be gapping the car, and the weight of the engine, transmission, and all the driveline will actually change the way a car fits. These cars do flex a little bit. So kind of a standard practice we have here when we're gapping a car, we have it sitting on its feet with the engine and transmission in place, because these cars will belly out. Hardtop, not as bad as a convertible. Convertibles will belly out like crazy, but we just try to mock up everything. We've learned throughout the years that mock-up is key to a well-built hot rod. So, and it's kind of Murphy's Law. If you don't mock up something and you think it's going to be all right, it's probably going to come back to screw you in the end. So we try to mock up as far as we can. It's not always possible, but try to think about everything. It makes final assembly go a lot quicker. With that being said, with CJ being done for now, we were able to get back on Steve, my father-in-law's 68 Charger. The car had rotted rocker panels. We had cut out the majority of the rocker panel before the carcass went out for sandblasting and priming, so that our sandblaster could actually go in and sandblast the inside of the rocker. So we were able to remove the rest of the rocker. We have the replacement rocker down here ready to go. However, there was a couple spots on the inner rocker that were rotted through, mostly in the areas where the cross members come into the inner rocker. That's a good area for moisture to just sit. So we repaired the inner rocker, and now we're ready to start fitting the replacement rocker. So it'll be rockers, and then once the rockers are good, we can move on to mocking up, and we're actually going to modify the outer wheelhouse, which you'll see in a later episode of This Week in the Shop. And then we can do the sheet metal, get this car looking like a 68 Charger once again. And then over here, actually we'll go up here. A little bit rearranged up here. Tom's Chevelle we haven't done anything to it because it's pretty much done. It just needs to be driven. David's 70 Challenger TA is staged and ready to go down into the shop, into the back room. This thing's going to go onto a rotisserie right away because there's some things we have to do on the underside, some metal work that we have to do. So it'll go right onto a rotisserie, and this is going to be a very, very, very correct OEM restoration. Again, it's not what we do. However, the owner is basically, he has all the OEM, the way it's supposed to be stuff memorized in his head. He just needs someone to do it. So we're going to be doing that, handling all that. Bill's 67 Camaro has side glass for good. I went ahead and got it all installed. And again, like I had just mentioned, we bodyworked this car with the glass in. Fit everything, fit all the panels, gapped the car with the glass in. When I installed the doors, I didn't have the glass in, installed the fenders, all that fun stuff. Excuse me. Once the glass was installed, it actually changed how the doors fit. So once the glass was in and the glass was fit, I actually had to readjust the doors, which then means I have to readjust the glass. So especially being a convertible, it changes, these cars have so much adjustability. So not only did we have to install and adjust the side windows and the vent windows, we also had to mess around with the top frame. So it's all good. I'm sure we're going to have a little bit more adjustment here and there, but they're pretty much good to go. Again, we went with the Auto City Classics custom gray tint. There's a small upcharge, $30, $50 upcharge, but it looks killer. It's got that nice little dark tint to it. So next week we'll be popping the hood off, like I had mentioned, painting the underside of the hood and the front edge of the valance will get painted flat black. It's hard to see in this light, but we actually painted about a 1/4 inch down. It's all flat cleared under over the body color. So we will actually continue that into here, so you won't see any of this. Small little detail that we fret on, and but the underside of the hood will have some exposed carbon fiber areas, along with the rad support closeout panel we have from Anvil Auto. All the carbon fiber on this car from Anvil Auto, and it's been really, really nice to work with. So we'll head back down to the shop. Tony's car headed down to the shop in a couple weeks so I can get the exhaust and the rest of the mechanical bits done. So all right, Justin's 79 F250 has an interior now. Just a few more things to do on the interior. Shift boot, pedal pads, but Jack did a great job getting the new carpet installed, and with the cutouts for the shifter, and the pretty cool, the front and rear twin stick transfer case. But this thing's going to be great. I mean, it's got, like I had mentioned, it's got Dakota Digital RTX gauges, retro sound radio, vintage air, but it looks all factory. Has a really nice look. So I think I had mentioned I'm going to be starting an exhaust soon. I have it's obviously shorty headers, as you can see, which are installed on the truck already. These are actually for a Fox body Mustang. They fit really well. They worked really well, especially with the drive shaft for the 4-wheel drive system. However, I will cut off the factory Fox body ball and socket ends, and I'll be welding on V-band clamps for up here. And then this side will go down, kick over to the passenger side, and then we have a Borla switch fire crossover. It's kind of a pretty neat X-pipe, straight pipe, hard to explain. And then we're going to be installing some FP Performance Street Series chambered mufflers, so it has that iconic chambered muffler sound. The Y-pipe and new manifolds are installed on Ryan's Formula. And then we are still working on, I think he's getting ready to install this front steering system in for the F body. I'm pretty sure it's for the F body. I hope I'm not wrong. Yeah, 82 to 92. Oh, nope, not a steering system. It's the strut tower bar, so sorry. Bruce's 65 LeMans is about to get its 9-inch rear. We have the housing, we have the center section. We're waiting for the axles, which are showing up today. Today is Friday, the end of this week. So hopefully next week we can get that rear built out, give the car a quick bath, and then Bruce is actually going to come out and probably take a ride in it for the first time. Like I had mentioned in past videos, the original 10-bolt, we rebuilt it twice, and at 50 miles an hour, it was louder than your old school bus rear end. So we just wiped the slate clean and got a 9-inch from Quick Performance for it. Nice tall 3.0 gear. It just has the original Power Glide transmission in it. So nothing too crazy. Just we want something reliable and quiet. I mean, I've never heard a rear so loud. It was like you wanted to pull your hair out. Chris's 68 GTO is just about wrapped up. Jeff this morning finished up the cold start tune on it and the idle tune. It just needed those pesky little gremlins in an EFI tune that Jeff took care of. And then this week we had this weird problem with the steering rack. This car has Hydro Boost. We don't normally deal with Hydro Boost too often. So you need to install, there's a valve to bring, pressure down so you don't blow the rack out, and there was just this weird gremlin in that system that we finally got sorted. Basically, when the car was idling, sitting there, you had no power steering assist, and as soon as the wheels start turning, it would have enough assist. It would have perfect power steering assist. So we got that sorted. So this thing is nearing the finish line pretty soon. We're just got to start driving it. We want to put a couple 100 miles on it just to verify that everything's good. But again, tons of power, nice LT. It's pretty much an LT4 at this point. The block was originally an LT1 block, and then it has a stroker kit, yeah, but forged internals and the LT4 blower. So I think it made just shy of 700 at the tire. 4L80 trans, and most importantly, a Roadster Shop spec chassis. So this thing's going to be a great running ripper for Chris. And then back here, the boys have been super busy on Holly's truck. This upcoming week, we'll have the doors, cab, bed sides finished, cut, and buffed. This side's about halfway through the sanding process. I think they're up to 1,500 grit. I think we have a 7-step sanding process that's necessary to get the paint looking primo. But you can see over here the driver's side is actually finished. So this is finished to the point where we're ready to assemble it. During assembly, handling parts, working on stuff, it's gonna, our hands are coarse enough that they can scratch it. But it's buffed. Now we can put the handles in, the mirrors, the door glass. Before we put the front end on, we'll make sure that we get the door glass installed so that if there's any adjustments of the doors are necessary, like I had mentioned, that stuff changes the way panels fit. So we're very, very close to starting assembly on this thing, which is a huge monumental moment for Holly's truck. So, and then last but not least in the shop, we have Tony's 83 Mustang sitting on its Roadster Shop spec chassis. This is a bolt-in style chassis. It's a pretty revolutionary product for these cars. You know, these cars have been built for years and years and years, kind of been in the same box for many, many years. You know, aftermarket K members, subframe connectors, aftermarket factory style suspension components, which are all great. They work great. There's no denying that. But this is just next level, especially on a T-top car. It's a full bolt-in chassis. It doesn't require any cutting of the floor pans to install. There are some components you have to remove, but there's no major cutting. Roadster Shop has a fast track style chassis for these cars, which does require you to cut everything from the firewall back, even the front frame rails. You cut all that stuff out. So this is a much more user-friendly chassis, being that there's no skilled cutting required. You just have to remove a few components. Upper control arm mounts get removed back here. You remove the upper control arm mounts. You remove the pulleys for the e-brake cable. So the e-brake cable comes through here from the factory, has these small pulleys that go over there. Doesn't mean we're not going to have an emergency brake. It just, we are going to have a different, we're going to use a set of low car cables that will hook up to the bare brakes. We removed the factory bump stops. Those don't have to come off completely if you don't want to. Also the factory spring pocket. That doesn't have to come off the car if you don't want to. We're going to be mini tubbing this car about 3.5 to 4 inches, just so we have plenty of clearance for our custom wheels. We're going to run probably a 335, maybe even wider than that on this, but it just cleans it up a lot more if you remove this factory spring pocket. There's a small notch you have to make in these gussets, these factory gussets in here. Just have to remove a little bit of material there. It now has a body mount location here that bolts into the front of the factory torque boxes. So if you have a car that has torn up torque boxes, these cars are known for having torque boxes that just get ripped to shreds from drag racing and just overall just beating them up. This now locates off the front of the torque box, which doesn't really ever get distorted. So if this is all mangled here, your lower control arm is all mangled, it's a lot of work to replace these because you can't get an OEM. You actually have to get an aftermarket. There's plenty of companies that make aftermarket torque boxes for these, but it's a lot of work. So you start adding all these things up. This chassis kind of alleviates those problems for your car. I mean, we could even go ahead and remove the factory lower control arm completely and just box all this in. We're probably not going to do that because it's not necessary. It's just, that's an extra added labor that doesn't pay off in the end. But this thing is ready to go. We're in mock-up phase. As you can see, the underside is pretty nasty, but like I guess the theme of this video is mock-up, 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 mock-up. So we'll actually go ahead and get the Godzilla with the Bowler T56 bolted into it. We'll put the blower on top. We'll pre-build the exhaust. We'll pre-build the cooling system. We'll pre-build the vintage air conditioning system and pre-build all these things. And then we'll strip the exterior down to bare metal. We'll bodywork it all together. And then once that's done and all of our systems are in place, we'll actually disassemble the whole car. And then from there, get the underside sandblasted and paint it, paint the body apart. It's better to paint everything apart. So we're in early stages on Tony's car, but it's going really, really well. Surprisingly, not one bolt broke on the car when we took it apart. It's a very, very original car, and it's gonna be a hell of a Fox body when it's done. T-top notch, doesn't get much better than that. So if you like this video, feel free to subscribe and follow and do all that fun stuff. Feel free to reach out to us with any project ideas of your own. You can email us at info@blueskyperformanceandrestoration.com. Hell, you can DM me on Instagram at blueskyperformancejesse, and let's start talking about your project. So until then, we'll see you next week.